Hi, good morning, everyone. We'll get started in just a second. Just going to allow a little bit of time for people to join us, to connect with us. I hope you're having a good morning so far. I'm Maria Cortez, the Chief Strategy Officer here at Stanislaus Community Foundation, and we'll get started in just a minute. So welcome, and thanks for joining us. All right, good morning again. As people continue to join and connect to the call, I'll reintroduce myself. I'm Maria Cortez, Chief Strategy Officer here at Stanislaus Community Foundation. Thanks for joining us this morning to learn more about the NextGen On Board program. So we're excited to share a little bit more today on ways nonprofit organizations can engage and partner with us in our third cohort. Thank you for being here. Feel free to drop anything on the chat. So just a couple of housekeeping things. And so the goal for today, again, is just to share a little bit more about the NextGen On Board program and the third cohort that we're launching. We will have this session recorded and shared afterwards. So please know that it will be available to you. We'll have some time for Q&A at the end of the webinar. So please be prepared to enter any questions or thoughts and things that you want more information on in the chat, and we'll be able to respond to those at the end of this time. So thanks again, and I'm going to start off by passing it over to Marianne Cannon, our President and CEO here at Stanislaus Community Foundation, and we look forward to this conversation.
Thanks, Maria. Hi, everybody. I see your names. It's so exciting to do this again. And by do this again, I mean this is our third cohort of the NextGen On Board program. When I think about where we started, it was in the dark days of COVID, and we were trying to find the light amidst a really challenging time. And we kind of came up with this idea that what if we put youth at the center of some of the change work for the Community Foundation? What might that look like? And how do we do it responsibly? And we came up with this idea of the NextGen On Board program and really supporting and coaching youth and our young adults to step into these spaces on nonprofit boards for three really distinct reasons. One, we believe that nonprofit organizations are where it's at. It's where change is, rapidly happening. They're on the front lines. We certainly saw that during the pandemic. We certainly see that today. They need creativity. Oftentimes that creativity comes without a lot of resource, but certainly it has a lot of fire in the belly and power. And so our nonprofit organizations really are very creative spaces and places. And we thought, how do we support those nonprofits to really move towards a future that increasingly is uncertain, but how do we do that in a way that's responsible? Because we do believe in the nonprofits to lead us into the future. The second reason was for the same thing that we think about nonprofits. We believe that for our youth, they have keys that can unlock a very uncertain future. They're very nimble and agile thinkers and doers, and they just have a different perspective and a different reality they've lived to. And so how do we position them in proximity to nonprofits, because there's so much synergy among both of those folks, if you will. And we know youth voice can enrich a nonprofit. And then finally, the third reason was we at the Community Foundation believe that we share a civic life together, that our fates are linked beyond ideology, beyond politics, beyond worldviews. We live in community with each other. We can't get away from that fact, no matter how many social media accounts we hide behind or, whatever wormhole we burrow into. At the end of the day, we're each other's neighbors. We share this community together. And so we believe in the power of civic leadership and in the power of shared spaces. And so for those three reasons, these nonprofits that we love so dearly, that are often not resourced, but are supremely creative, for the youth and the diversity of thought and opinion and creativity they bring to the table, and for this idea of shared civic life and bringing people into the common space, if you will. All those three reasons were the birth of the Next Gen on Board program, to do something very different, but do it responsibly and intentionally, and design it in a way that really benefits nonprofits, that supports youth to step into leadership, and that ultimately leads to a really enriched civic life that we all share. And so we were super excited to kick this off 4 years ago now, and even more excited now to start this third cohort. I want to thank Dave Olson and Jeannie Olson and their family. They're huge believers in youth development, and they themselves have really championed this work and are the primary funder, besides the Community Foundation, for this program. So I want to thank them. And we couldn't think literally of a better leader and a better organization to shepherd this program along than Youth Leadership Institute. I was just telling Patty, I've never met anybody that works at YLI that isn't like a 10 out of 10, that isn't just so committed to our state, our youth across the state, and certainly in this community. So they really designed this program. They are the carriers of this program. And we just are super excited that they agreed to do this again with us. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Patty, and she's really going to dive into everything. Patty?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marianne. I'm so excited to be with you all today. Thank you for making the time. And thank you again to the Stanislaus Community Foundation for their consistent doubling down and ensuring young people are thriving across our communities. We have just done our sort of welcome and introductions. We'll do a little bit more of that. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about NextGen on Board, what it is, what to expect, what to understand both as a nonprofit, and for those that are in the room today that are thinking about submitting an application to become a fellow, we'll touch on that as well. We'll talk about sort of the future, and then we'll go to next steps and answer any of your questions. As Marianne said, my name is Patty Barahona. I'm the CEO at Youth Leadership Institute. And our work at YLI is really about ensuring young people are at decision-making tables, informing the change in their future lives. And so we do that across the state, in California, in the Central Valley, in Fresno, Merced, and Madera. We do that in Southern California, in Coachella and Long Beach. And we do that in the Bay Area, in San Francisco, Marin, and San Mateo. We take the lessons on the ground, working with young people on policy change and narrative change, and we box them up and lead training and consulting services. So that's what we are doing here, is pulling some of that knowledge about young people from across the state and what it means to serve on a nonprofit board, which is what I'll be talking to you about today. So thank you again for being here. We have had two amazing NextGen on Board cohorts. So I just want to say that, we were able to engage a variety of young people, ages 18 to 26 plus, in developing their understanding of what it means to both serve on a nonprofit board, actively support them as they serve on the nonprofit board, and gain lessons learned throughout that process. So we were able to do that and had a lot of impact. And we'll talk a lot about the nonprofits that signed up and said, yes, I want to ensure that a young leader is on my board to ensure that they are part of stewarding the future of our institutions. We know that nonprofits are our anchor institutions, particularly certainly in the Central Valley and across the country. We have a variety of goals that we want to make sure that nonprofits achieve here as we were designing this program. One is to ensure that we're really diversifying your organization's board to ensure it's representative of the communities we serve. We know that more and more those that have that lived experience across communities can really add value to your nonprofit board. The second is really to help nonprofits really deepen their perspective on what's impacting young people today, and ensuring that young people's innovative solutions to help steward your organization forward are front and center and at those tables. And the third thing we decided was really we wanted to ensure that we were increasing the number of professionally trained board members across the Central Valley. We know that the Central Valley is leaderful. And this is our opportunity to lift that up and ensure that we can see that across our nonprofit boards. And we had really core goals for the fellows as well, that they come in and that they're increasing their capacity to engage in change efforts. We know that the fellows that have applied are already changing their communities. So this is an additional opportunity to grow that knowledge and that engagement in their communities. The second was to ensure that we're increasing their opportunities to be at decision-making tables. We know that this group and this age group of 18 to 26 plus, really is looking for opportunities to get civically engaged in a variety of ways at this point in their career. The third is that we really wanted to broaden fellows' exposure to career pathways. And we know that when you sit on a nonprofit board and you're talking to CFOs of companies that are your board colleagues, that you're talking to other CEOs, that you're talking to HR professionals, that you're starting to build and widen your career pathways and opportunities, but also your social capital. The partnerships that you're building allow you to create other partnerships, which we know is really important at that sort of point in the career. And the last is that we really wanted to ensure that fellows develop their professional and informal networks. We know that fellows that have joined in cohort 1 and cohort 2 have learned so much from their colleagues around the room and also have contributed so much. So we know that that's a reciprocal process. So let me give you a little bit of sort of the at a glance what to be thinking about. The first thing we do is we recruit nonprofit organizations like yourself and young leaders. And we'll talk a little bit more in depth about what that recruitment looks like. Then we match young leaders with nonprofit organizations. This year, cohort 3, we're going to really be focusing in on ensuring that the nonprofit organization's issue areas or focal points are in alignment with what the fellow is looking to serve on. So for example, if you're a nonprofit that is serving, with a mission to support and address poverty, we want to ensure that that fellow is also interested in this area. So that'll be a core part of our matching this year. Then we're going to engage these two, the fellows and the nonprofits over 2 years, so 24 months in this process. And then we're going to, along that time, we're going to continue to build their capacity, both of the fellow, and this year we're also going to provide training to the nonprofit board. And we're going to be gathering some data on what is most of interest in terms of training for nonprofit boards. We have fellow criteria. I know that some of you are out there, so we want to make sure that we will share this with you, which is that we are looking for fellows 18 to 26 plus. We want to make sure that you are passionate to serve as a leader of a local nonprofit organization. We know that if we have that passion, that we can ensure that we're building your capacity, your skills to be able to provide your leadership at those tables. We want to make sure that you have a reliable, sound reputation as a young community leader and team player. Our nonprofits are teams in different ways, and we want to make sure that you're able to participate and partner with your colleagues. And the last is that you're willing to really commit up to 15 hours a month, both to understand what it means to be on a nonprofit board and to participate in training. So we have some nonprofit criteria as well for those of you that are interested. If you were part of cohort 1 and cohort 2, this will sound familiar. But if you are new, thank you for being here. We're looking for you to participate in a joint orientation with us, with the fellow. We want to understand every nonprofit is unique and different in the way it operates, and particularly the way the board of directors may function. So we want to understand that and make sure we orient the fellow and you as well. We want you to commit to that training for at least 12 to 24 months, and that you're sort of working in lockstep with us, that you're providing us feedback on how to best support the fellow throughout their process and journey. We do want to ensure that you can pair a staff member or mentor or a board mentor with the fellow throughout the duration of the program. I don't know about you, but I know when I've served on boards, I really appreciate when a colleague really is providing more of a connection and to the nonprofit board. So that mentorship is at all ages, certainly, and we want to make sure that that is available. And the last is that you're willing and able to provide and participate in an informal assessment to best understand what you need as a nonprofit and what your board needs at this moment, and to be able to provide us feedback on how we can improve this program as well. Okay, so can I get a drum roll? Because right now we're going to talk to you about this timeline. So it comes quickly, and I know that many of us are planning vacations and time off, which we certainly all deserve, but let me walk you through what we anticipate as a timeline. So today is June 5th, we're doing this info session, and we will release our nonprofit interest form. This is a straightforward form that your nonprofit would complete if you are interested in participating. We will certainly follow up with you to ensure that you know that we've received your application, but that we can ask you some key questions about your nonprofit and what you might be facing. On June 16th, we will open up the fellow applications. And so this will be both a self-nomination form. So if I'm an interested young leader and I want to apply, I would apply. And also it will act as a nominating form. So if I'm a mentor in the community and I know of a young person that would just be exceptional in this program, you could nominate them through this form as well. On July 30th, we'll put sort of the deadline for both the nonprofit interest forms and the fellow applications. We do encourage you to submit early, because that will also give us an opportunity to make sure that we have sort of the right strike and balance from nonprofits to fellows. So encourage you to fill it out, and we can answer any of your questions along the way. August, we're going to spend sort of early August screening and interviewing the applicants. This is a process we do with all applicants just to ensure that we have a full understanding of what they're facing, what their job responsibilities might be, what their community or family responsibilities might be, to ensure that they have the time, commitment, and sort of the passion and interest to serve. We'll do a little mixer, because we love to meet with nonprofits and fellows in the same room and get to know each other, because much of our work, as you know, in community is about relationships. So we'll kick that off on August 20th. We will move into quickly a launch and orientation on August 27th, so that we can both celebrate the placement of our fellows with our nonprofits, and also enjoy what it means to really ground ourselves in investing in young people across our communities. We quickly jump into a 2-day training for the fellows. What's really important about these 2 days is that they are full training days with the fellows in Modesto. So we'll be congregating at the 931 space, which is a beautiful space. I'm sure you've probably visited it or had events in it. We'll be there on those full days. So if fellows, if you are applying and you have a job commitment, it will be really important to ensure that you request that time off if you need to do that. And we can also provide a letter of support to explain that you're participating in this program to ensure you can make these dates. In October, we then go into our board training. So we, when we release our nonprofit interest forms, we're going to be asking you what types of trainings would be most helpful to you. We're going to gather that data and condense it and pick a few that we will offer in October. And those dates will be shared shortly. And from October through June, we have our young leaders placed on the boards, serving in that board of director capacity, and we are coaching them throughout that time. June 2026 will come quickly. We'll celebrate them, and then that will be sort of the marking of year 1. We will enter year 2 in another coaching manner, ensuring that we're both connecting with the nonprofit, ensuring you have what you need throughout this process, and that we are talking to the fellow about what they are learning and how to best support them. Thank you for thinking about your questions too. You can feel free to add them to the chat and we'll get to them shortly. You may be wondering, so what is happening on these training days? What are fellows being trained on? And so we start off first with the Clifton Strengths Assessment. Strengths Finder is an opportunity to take sort of a test, if you will, to be able to determine what your top strengths are as a leader. This really helps us guide and understand and kind of give us a profile of this leader to best figure out how are they going to participate on the board of directors, and how can we best support them and leverage their strengths and build on those. We will do training on board governance and sort of the functions of board governance, what it means. We'll talk about our, fiduciary responsibilities, our legal responsibilities. We'll break down the board committees and board committee structure and processes. On September 26th, we'll talk about how the board operates and how you work with your CEO or executive director in a way that ensures that you stay in your lane as a board leader, and that we allow our CEO and ED to lead the day-to-day management of their organization. We'll talk about fundraising and what it means to be an ambassador for an organization. We'll talk about what it means to think about mission, planning, and evaluation. As a board member, how do you understand the arc of this work? Are we in alignment with our mission? Do we have a sense of our planning? And how are we evaluating that our work is being effective and we're having impact? And we'll talk about diversity, equity, inclusion. How do we ensure that both our board reflects a diverse board with a lot of skills and abilities at the table, but also how does our work reflect that as well? We'll jump into coaching monthly one-on-one with fellows. This has been probably some of the most exciting points of the program, because we're starting to hear fellows say, this happened at the board meeting. I'm not sure how to best respond. This is what I think my response might be. And we can shop through that with them. So we did that through our coaching in the previous 2 cohorts, and we're able to help support folks in addressing any challenges that they may be coming up against, or supporting them to add value and to bring their ideas to the board table that they're thinking about. As I mentioned, we'll celebrate, and then we'll move into our year 2 of, again, consistent check-ins with our nonprofits to make sure you have what you need, but also consistent coaching with our fellows. We have had a really incredible experience in cohort 1 and in cohort 2. So I will say, this is some of the really great quotes we got from fellows that participated in the program. We know that there was a lot of value gained throughout the process. And, you can see some of those quotes here. This sort of awakening that comes from being at a table and feeling like your voice is heard, that what you bring to the table is valuable, that your lived experiences and your work experiences really do shape and inform how decisions can be made, is really, really just a beautiful process to bear witness to and to support. And so we always at YLI feel so just honored to be part of that process. The one thing to say about this program is also that we are talking a lot in case studies and role plays. We think that some of the knowledge certainly can be shared with our fellows, but we are then taking that knowledge and putting it into practice so that we can understand how might we best respond in this instance as a board member. How do we stay in our lanes as board members? What are the key questions we want to be asking at a board table, et cetera. So that experiential learning, I think, has really been helpful and fruitful when a fellow is participating in our program. We've had a lot of incredible cohort 1 nonprofit partners, so I'm so thankful to them for participating and being willing and able. I know some of our fellows have continued on in their service at these nonprofits and or have also moved on to other nonprofit boards, which is what we want to do. We want to have a domino effect of leadership across the Central Valley, where we have trained our leaders, they're serving, and then they go on to serve in other capacities that we know that they will be able to accomplish. Cohort 2 partners, also really incredible leaders, I'm sure you know very well, and also really thankful to their participation. If you're in the room today, cohort 1 or cohort 2 nonprofits, thank you. And thank you for your recommitment and interest in cohort 3. And if you're a newer nonprofit, you can see your colleagues have been here. And so you can always also reach out to them too about their experience. I think every experience is a unique one. These are our cohort 1 fellows. I'm sure these are movers and shakers doing all kinds of incredible things across our communities. We're going to do a little bit of a where are they now, and be able to tell you where they're serving today, what they're up to, and give you some insights. They're all doing incredible things, building organizations, participating in really amazing organizations, and just continuing to lead. These are cohort 2 fellows. Again, also, I'm sure you're recognizing many names here and many faces, again, doing really incredible things and moving in their leadership journeys, which is, part of the work here that we're really thrilled about. And I'm going to pause here and say, first, I hope that gives you a broad overview of the NextGen on Board program, gives you some dates that you may say, hey, will you send those via email? And we will get those dates out to you so you have those on your calendar. But I did want to make sure to just pause here and open it up to any questions that you may have out there. And I know, Maria, you are tracking on those. So I will stop here if that's okay.
Thanks, everyone. Yes, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. I know we do have a question already, Bati. In the timeline, when does the fellows start work on a board?
Right after that training. So let me see if I can pull up that slide really quick just to give you a sense. Sorry to make you dizzy. So right after they've received their full training, they would start serving on a board in October. Now, what I will say about that is that some boards are meeting at different moments in time. So for example, if your next board meeting in the fall happens to be November, that's when they would participate with you and join you. My hope is that October is a real sweet spot. I know a lot of board meetings that happen in the month of October. So I think that's because it's following the Q1 of the July to June fiscal year. So our hope is that as of October, they're seated with you, and that is your that's the time that they begin to serve.
Okay, another question. Let's see here. Thank you for that question, May. If we do not have a seat available in this timeline per our bylaws, would we be able to, let me see, sorry. Would we be able to add someone as a non-voting member of the board?
You could, but I would actually encourage something different, which is that you revisit your bylaws and you talk about the importance of having a young leader. Having a voting role is really key to this program because we want to ensure that they're participating in lockstep with their other colleagues on that board. So one option is that you can update your bylaws. I know that is no easy task sometimes. But your governance committee or your executive committee can really talk about how this opens up opportunities for diversity for your board, how this opens up instances in, investing in young leaders in our community that bring different, both visibility, but also opinions and support and leadership to your board. I would highly encourage that. We certainly can talk to you offline if you want to do that. To best support you, but there has to be a sense of equity in terms of decision making at that table. We would want to ensure that that young person is a voting member.
Okay, another question, Bati. Is the nonprofit involved in any of the training, and if so, at what stage?
Yeah, the nonprofit is not, but I do see value in providing the nonprofit more specific information about the September 25th and 26th training, so you have a sense of what we're doing. I think that would be helpful, so we can certainly offer that. I think that, yeah, so I'll say that, and then the nonprofit board will participate in training together in October.
Great, thank you. One other question related to slides. Yes, we will have the slides and this recording sent out. And so you'll have access to both following this webinar today. All right. Any other questions from anyone on? We'd be happy to answer any additional questions since we have Bati with us and can help us respond to all those questions. All right. Well, it looks like there are no more questions, Bati. Any final thoughts or comments that you want to make?
I see May's hand. Hey, May,
Oh,
your hand raised, but I'm not sure if it was raised previously for a question or if it's a current question.
all right. May, do you want to drop the question in the chat? We'll give you a minute to type it in.
Yeah, I guess, one thing to say is just a shout out to City Ministry Network's Latino Leadership Initiative, which is such a great, incredible program building the capacity and leadership of many Latino leaders. And you'll see that a lot of those folks that went through that program were in cohort 1 and also in cohort 2. Just a shout out that our programs build on each other, and that the Central Valley is really kind of hyper focused on ensuring that we're creating more opportunities for leadership. And that's just beautiful to say. And I'm not sure if anybody from City Ministry Network is here today, but just wanted to say a thank you to all of our shared commitment on leadership development.
Okay, so a question from May. So would the partner be able to, would the applicant be able to partner with the board prior to October? For us, that's a tight timeline before the last meeting of 2025, if they don't start our application process until the start of October. So would the applicant be able to partner prior to October?
I think so. I think just as long as we can get through the training on the 25th and 26th, I think we can be helping that those conversations begin to happen, make sure that they're fully prepared for that. I guess the hope would be that they participate then in your October board meeting. Is that right, May?
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And, I think for us, we sort of want to make sure we cross all of our T's and dot our I's, make sure that fellow is fully prepared, able, willing, understanding. And what we'll do, I think, to help nonprofits as well, is understand when your first board meeting is, so that we're kind of following our training. When will your board meeting be, and how can we schedule something in between that time to get that kind of relationship building going, and any other orientation that the fellow will need. So we will do our best on that, in that timing, for sure.
Yeah. May, hopefully that answered your question. If not, feel free to drop some more questions in the chat, or definitely reach out to us directly, and we'd be happy to talk it through a little bit more if you have some unique questions specific to timing. And so, yes, I did answer the question. All right. Any other questions?
I mean, I have a question for the group here, and you can answer in the comment, which is, are you interested in participating in NextGen on board? Is it your time? Are you going to be part of cohort 3? Let's see, what's the chat saying? Waiting. Absolutely. I love to hear it.
Yay.
Yes, good, great. Yeah.
Thank you, May, John, Victor.
Thank you. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your willingness. We want to certainly be in support of your work. Yes, schedules can be an issue. So let's talk about that. Let's figure out, how do we right size that for you, for your nonprofit.
Thank you, Gina.
Yes.
Excited that you're on the call again.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm glad that folks are interested in participating. It's really exciting, and we look forward to supporting you in that process.
All right. Well, with that, Bati, I want to thank you again for walking us through what we are looking forward to in cohort 3. Excited to partner with YLI with yourself again. and
Yeah.
with the nonprofits and the fellows that are going to participate. So I want to thank everyone for joining. We are going to end a little early and give you some of your time back. But again, want to thank you for being in attendance, and I'm sure there may be some additional questions that come up. We'd be happy to answer those questions. So feel free to reach out to us here directly at Stanislaus Community Foundation. We'll have a follow-up email that will go out again with this recording and with the slides. But we will also drop the nonprofit interest form in the chat in just a second. And so for nonprofit organizations, that application is open, so you can apply. For the fellows that are interested, that application will come shortly, so keep an eye out for it. We'll be sharing that out in the next couple of weeks and making it live. So look forward to seeing those interest forms come in. But you have full access to us if we can be a resource. If we have any questions that you still are wondering about, definitely reach out to us. And we look forward to staying connected and partnering with you for this third cohort of NextGen on board. Thank you so much. And the chat is, you'll see the link for nonprofit organizations. The link is available on the chat, so make sure you click on that or visit our website just to learn a little bit more about the program. And yeah, thanks again. Appreciate you all, and look forward to staying connected.
Thank you so much, everybody.